Blessings, everyone, and welcome to the Infinite Journey podcast. I'm Paul James Caden, and today on the show, we are going to be talking about the voices of the false prophets. And this is a little bit related to what we talked about on Monday with the election 2020 coming up. This podcast will be out the day after Election Day. And, I want to say again, right out of the gate here, when I do a show like this, it's not political. I'm not upholding Democrat or Republican or one candidate over the other. I'm looking beyond all of that, um, and looking at the spiritual significance and overtones and undertones of the whole situation, because I think that's where we miss it. I am certainly not a political person. I was a registered Republican, then I went to being an independent. I vote for anybody who I think is going to do the best job, although that choice gets harder and harder with every election. I was telling my wife the other day, uh, I've been of the school of thought with a lot of people for a very long time now that I don't even know if our vote counts or if we're just kind of putting on a show, feeling like we're making a difference, but somebody behind the curtain already knows who is going to get the job. So, this is never about politics or berating people. And what does all this have to do with the voices of false prophets? Well, we're going to find out in just a minute, because I think this is a very important topic to talk about because of how immersed a lot of spirituality is in politics right now, and has been for a very long time, but everything is really coming to a head, it seems. And it's something we have to pay attention to. Because look, folks, Jesus said his kingdom was not of this earth. And he told the religious leaders of his day, or actually it was the political leaders, this when he was on trial before Pilate and all of those people. And he said, my kingdom's not of this earth. And if it were, my subjects would fight to defend or preserve that kingdom. But my kingdom is not of this earth. Jesus always pointed us to that kingdom of God, the heavenly kingdom. He said, be of this world, but not of it. He spoke to his disciples when they argued about who would be the greatest, and he said, hey, listen, people in this world and the kings of the earth, they bicker about this kind of thing. It's not so with you. And he who is to be the greatest in the kingdom of heaven will be the servant of all. And, I understand we all have to do our part. We all have to voice an opinion. We do what we can to keep the affairs of our everyday, earthly life, as long as we're here, going smoothly and peacefully. But I don't think we should get so immersed in it to where it actually becomes maybe psychologically and spiritually dangerous. And we're going to talk about that in a moment. But again, just to reiterate, this is never to choose political sides. It's not that way for me, because I've always been someone that's very divorced from all of that. I don't live my life according to politics. If the president is good, if the president is bad, if our government takes us into the new world order and things get really bad, hey, I'm going to live my life the best I can. I'm going to live it in love. I'm going to live it by faith. I'm going to do my thing in service to God, until I'm not able to do it anymore. And then I'll go home. That's my philosophy. That's been me all of my life. If you listen to any of the chapters that I read from my book, An Angel Came Down, that are here on the podcast channel or wherever you happen to listen, that's been the theme of my life. So I'm not so invested in, it's, this candidate or that candidate or this party or that party. And that's just not who I am. And I want that to be something that is understood time and time again. And even though I say that time and time again, over and over again, there are still people that will, leave comments, on some of the social media sites or send me an email and say, oh, you're choosing sides. Oh, you're anti-Trump. Oh, you're a liberal, and let me tell you something right now, folks, and this is something I've never told anybody because I don't feel it's anyone's business, but I'm going to be upfront. Um, I voted for Donald Trump in the 2016 election. There was too much corruption with the Clintons, and there was just no way I could bring myself to vote for Hillary. And that was my opinion. I know some people disagree, but I was around during the times of the Clintons, and they were always followed by death and murder and scandal, and you know, but that's neither here nor there. I voted for Donald Trump, and when I watched the 2016 presidential inauguration, I was moved. I was home by myself. I took some time off from my work. I work from home. My wife, she was at work. My stepdaughter was in school. So I was watching a little bit of it on my lunch break, by myself. And I was moved. I was really moved because I thought to myself, I said, man, I feel like it's been such a long time that we'd had a presidential, inauguration where there was so much prayer and hymns and reading of the scriptures and just God and country. It made me emotional and I felt hopeful. And I said, I took a chance. I was never a Donald Trump fan, when I knew about him throughout the 90s, with real estate and being a millionaire and all this sort of thing, billionaire. But I heard him talk about politics and he made some sense when I heard him talk. And so I took the chance. And, when I watched that inauguration, I said to myself, I was moved and I said, I think it was the right move. I think all of us that took a chance on this man did the right thing. I think we're going to be very pleased and I think we're going to have, you know, a real decent, thoughtful human being at the helm. Something maybe we haven't had in politics in a very long time. But I'm sad to say, within a week or two after the inauguration, it seemed to go off the rails. And it just got worse from there. And the way he talks, the way he makes fun of people, the way he's degrading, the way he's so arrogant and just blathering all the time how great he is. So many things just turned me off. And I said, this time around, I can't do it. I can't do it. Do I love Joe Biden? Absolutely not. I've always said about politics, and we're going to get to the voices of the false prophets in a minute, but I got on a little bit of a tangent here talking about this and just being real with all of you that listen to the show about who I am. Do I love Joe Biden? No. And I've said as long as I've been interested in politics around election times, at least a little bit, it always seems that the best candidates get thrown out first. And even those that the people do want, it seems like the political parties nominate who they want. It doesn't matter what the people want. And we get the same tired politicians over and over and over. So again, we're faced in this country the lesser of two evils. And I feel like this is a game that's been played and is being played with the American people. We're given the lesser of two evils to vote for every time. And that just has to stop. It's insanity. But I can't in good conscience, for me, vote Donald Trump. I think he's divided the country too much. I feel that his handling of, an actual pandemic has been so poor. The economy's in shambles. So many people have died, 230,000 plus. Um, just saying terrible things about these frontline workers and doctors that work around the clock, nurses and doctors crying and breaking down on the internet because they're seeing so many people dying that they can't save from this virus. And he's mocking them, calling them fake. They get money if they say somebody died of COVID. You know, I I just don't see any compassion or logic or kindness in this individual. And as much as I couldn't vote for Hillary Clinton the last time, I can't, for me, vote for Donald Trump this time. I'm taking the stab in the dark with the lesser of the two evils. And if I must be honest, folks, again, I wasn't even going to vote in this election. I said, you know what? I called this from the beginning. I knew it was going to be Biden versus Trump. I predicted that Trump would win and it might look good, but then he might really go off the rails and be absolutely terrible. I keep calling it like it's a show that I've seen again and again and again. And I think a lot of it is an act. And I wasn't going to vote. I said, I'm out. I'm not doing it. It was my wife and her uncle who said, "Oh, you got to vote. You got to vote." All right. I'm going to do it one more time, but I already have my prediction of how this is going to turn out. And if it turns out that way, I think I'm done. I'm not going to throw my hat in that ring anymore. But, that's a little bit of political talk after Election Day, a little bit of true confession from yours truly. And listen, if you voted for Donald Trump yesterday, that's okay. I know everybody has their reasons with who they're voting for. And as much as Donald Trump was a disappointment to me, I understand why there are some people who are voting Donald Trump. I understand the issue between, pro-life and pro-choice. I understand, a lot of different things and why people would vote the way they would want to vote. And it's up to each individual. It's like religion. Seek God, have your own personal experience, make your own decision. So I don't damn anybody for voting Trump. I don't damn anybody for voting Biden. I don't. I think it's okay no matter who you voted for. I respect your opinion, but I don't think we should be fighting and hurting and tearing one another up physically and verbally and threatening violence and putting one another down and insulting one another and calling one another stupid and retards and, Trump tards and, libtards and all these, insulting names. I think we just need to respect one another. That's my opinion. So I hope that clarifies some things about politics where I'm concerned. And like I said, I just always wanted to be real on this show when it comes to talking to people because there's too much plastic in the world, and I don't want to be plastic, straight up. But what does this have to do with the voices of the false prophets? It actually all does tie in with the subject matter here. And, this is what's disturbing to me is how many religious people that proclaim themselves to be prophets, and they come out and they make these proclamations and they make them based on really their opinions, a lot of them, and then scare people into following their lead. I've seen a lot of Christians, a lot of people, especially in the evangelical community, talking about God is revealing to all these prophets Donald Trump is going to win the election. Then this is going to happen. There's going to be chaos. There's going to be attempts on his life. There's going to be the invasion of Israel in the Middle East. And then, there's going to be the second coming. All these godly prophecies tied to Donald Trump. And they berate their viewers. If you don't vote Trump, God is mad at you. Jesus is not pleased with you. You're throwing in with the devil. It's like taking people's personal choice away from them. And that always disturbs me when somebody says, "Oh, you better do it the way I'm going to do it, or the way I'm telling you to do it, or God's going to be mad and there's going to be wrath, and there's going to be weeping and gnashing of teeth." And I see all of these popular. I used to like watching on YouTube. Many of you probably know who I'm talking about. Sid Roth, It's Supernatural. It was an interesting show. It's still going. There's episodes on YouTube. I watch them once in a while. But I was really disheartened to turn on an episode that I was watching about a week ago. I decided to watch one because I'd watched one just previous. It was on angels. I didn't even know it was uh, an It's Supernatural episode. It was just angel encounter. So I clicked it, and it was Sid Roth, and it was a really good episode. So I decided to watch another one. And here in the beginning of the show was this big announcement of how we're all letting God down if we don't vote a certain way. Here's how he's going to vote. Here's what God is going to think if we don't, vote a certain way, because then we'll be voting against this and this and this and this. And those are God's values and what God wants. And, I just had a sinking feeling. And I ended up turning off the episode and I said, I can't get with this kind of thing, and I feel something's really off about it. I don't feel good when I hear a lot of these Trump prophecies. Not that, Donald Trump is the Antichrist or, oh my God, any of that sort of thing. But I feel the religious community is putting too much stock in politics. When you have evangelical leaders saying God gave them dreams and visions, and they saw Donald Trump in heaven seated at the right hand of God smiling, and we have Christian artists painting pictures and doing sculptures of Donald Trump crucified on the cross like Jesus, uh, there's a problem. Not a political problem, mind you, a spiritual problem. So I have a real concern about where all of this is coming from. And whether it's Donald Trump, whether it's John Smith 4 years from now, whoever it might be, I think it's very dangerous to start getting that deep into politics with religion, speaking for God and saying this is who He wants, fishing through the scriptures and coming up with these, you know, bits and pieces of fragmented scripture and applying it to a politician and saying, he's this, he's that, he's our King David, he's our King Cyrus, he's our, whatever the case may be. I think it's getting very dangerous. God said, render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's and the things that are God's to God. God is the only one who gets our worship and our adoration, not a man. And as I've explained many times, but I'll say it once again, when Antichrist, and the Bible speaks of many Antichrists, not just one, that will be many in the world. And we trip over that word anti in the Greek because it doesn't mean against, like I'm anti-drug, or I'm anti, white sugar, or white flour. It doesn't mean that. The Greek word originally, rendered from the word that we read anti, which is blind to us in our world because, we're anti-Republican, we're Democrat, but that's not what it means. The word means literally another, or in place of, or a substitute for. So it's not an anti against Christ, it's someone coming claiming to be or be from Christ. So much like the devil, when you see paintings of the devil with the pointy tail and the horns and the red skin and the pitchfork. That's not the picture that the Bible paints of Satan. I said it's very beautiful. He's brilliant. He comes as an angel of an angel of light. He's not a hideous monster. And this is why some people can get deceived by, these spiritual visitations and spiritual experiences that end up turning bad because they're very beautiful. They're not hideous. And just the way when the Antichrist comes on the scene, the main one, or any Antichrist, they're going to seem very appealing. Everyone's going to love them. What would people do right now if Donald Trump, just as an example, started doing miracles, healing people, calling fire down from heaven, as the book of Revelation says the Antichrist will do? We would have 80 to 82% of the evangelical community falling on their knees in front of him. Do you see where I'm going with this? And I'm not saying that's going to happen. Again, I'm not saying Donald Trump is the Antichrist, but I think this is kind of a primer for what is coming, showing us how easy it is for human beings to get into this almost worship mode of another human being, a politician. What would they do with somebody who does seem godlike, starts doing the miracles like Jesus did? I mean, people would be, oh my God. And here we're going to have people like many of these Christians that are so wrapped up in politics. If this person is of the right political party or strikes a certain chord with them, oh, God showed me in the vision this guy, oh, he's Elijah come again, oh, he's the second coming of Christ, oh, he's, Christ's little brother. Lord knows what they'll come up with. So do you see the kind of deception this can lead to? It's a dangerous road to walk, and this is why I look at a lot of these prophets and I say, what are they saying? Let's go back to those words of Jesus I quoted in the beginning of the scripture when the disciples were fighting who would be the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And he said, the politicians of the day, and their offspring, they fight over this kind of thing. It's not so with you. He who will be the greatest among you in the kingdom of heaven will be the servant of all. And now, if we look at that, the servant of all, the story of Jesus washing the feet of the disciples, showing it's a humble practice, it's a humble giving of yourself to be the servant of all. Not because you're looking for the limelight, not because you're looking for, special rewards, but because you just have the heart to do so. You want to help, you want to heal, you want to serve in a godly sort of way. And people don't realize and people don't understand, and again, using someone like Donald Trump as an example, they don't see that he doesn't fit that description. What does the Bible say about arrogance and boasting? What does the Bible say about the haughty tongue and those that insult and those that mock? What does the Bible say about those who tell a lie or utter prophecies that do not come to pass? I mean, again, I'm not choosing sides or, no pun intended here, trying to crucify Donald Trump, but he doesn't fit the bill of the humble servant of God. He doesn't have that heart. The humble servant, like Jesus healed the sick, Jesus cared for the wounded. Donald Trump turns the blind eye to 230 plus, 230,000 plus people dying and say, oh, we're rounding the turn. Don't worry about it. That old saying, what would Jesus do? And again, I'm not, you know, uh, throwing darts at Donald Trump, just go, I don't like that guy. Look what he's done. I'm just making the comparison. He doesn't fit the image of the humble serving servant. And that's important to see. All of these self-proclaimed prophets and these pastors and religious leaders looking past all of that and trying to make this individual fit a certain form that they want him to fit in. But it doesn't work if you look at it logically. And that's important, folks, because faith doesn't ask us to, check our brain at the door and not think and blindly follow. Or, a couple of things we kind of like about this person, so let's embrace everything they do and, start prophesying about them, how godly they are, how much like King David they are, how much like this one they are. We're getting into some real trouble when we do that. We don't check our brain at the door with faith. Doesn't the Bible say God tells us, come now, let us reason together? We have to reason things out logically and prayerfully. Because again, I don't think, Donald Trump is the Antichrist. I know there's some people that do, but I certainly don't think that. But like I said, is this priming the pump for a greater deception? Yeah, I think it is. I think God is really showing us how easy it is for people to fall into this kind of deception, even people that are considered great great pastors, great, evangelists and prophets and, you know, experts on biblical prophecy. All these people, what are these, you know, prestigious titles in the world of religion, all saying these very strange things and setting this individual up, almost as an idol and not seeing what's very plain to the eye and to the ear, that this individual doesn't fit the description of a humble servant. So, what are these same people going to do when the Antichrist comes? The last Antichrist, the big AC, if you will, the one who is another Christ or in place of Christ or a substitute for Christ. He's going to seem very humble in many ways. He's going to make peace in the Middle East. He's going to make things very prosperous. But doesn't the Bible also say that, you know, after a while, he's going to be very blasphemous and arrogant and haughty? Doesn't it seem like we're being primed for something bigger? If we can accept all of this now, what are we going to do then? I think people will swallow it hook, line, and sinker. And that 81 to 82% of the Christian and evangelical community that's running after Donald Trump, prophesying over him. And that's a big number, folks. And that's a big number that is likely to be deceived with the great deception that is to come. And we might not be far from it at the rate we're going. But didn't Jesus say? Now think about this, folks. Think about this. Didn't he say many are called, but few are chosen? Didn't he say there would be many at the end that would say, Lord, Lord, didn't we prophesy in your name? Didn't we do all these wonderful things in your name? And he'll say, depart from me, I never knew you. These people thought they were doing the service of God and of Christ. Because, Lord, didn't we do all this in your name? Look at us. That's going to be a lot of people. He says, depart from me, I never knew you. And again, let me make this very clear. I'm not saying this to choose a political side. I'm not doing this to make fun of or, drag through the mud any particular religious denomination. I do this from the heart to tell you, the few of you, the many of you, whoever listens, just be careful who you follow. Men always seem to lead men astray. These religious institutions, they've always had the knack for turning the blind eye from the truth, persecuting the actual believers, and perpetuating their heresies and their lies and their arrogance. And they've led many astray over the years, and there's a bigger being led astray that's coming. And I'm just telling you, be careful who you follow. And like I said, I don't care if you voted for Donald Trump. If that's how you voted and you weighed this out in your mind and said, this is how I feel I need to do it, fantastic. I don't think any less of you. I'm not going to sit here and make fun of you. You made your choice based on the evidence that was in front of you, and you made it to the best of your ability, as did I. And I can respect that. I can respect whether you're Protestant, whether you're Catholic, whether you're whatever you are. If you're Muslim, if you're Buddhist, I'm not one of these people that beats anyone over the head with religion or politics. Everybody's made whatever choice they've made for whatever reason, their own good reasons. So it's not about any of that. My thing is just telling you, as someone who gives a crap. I give a crap what happens to people. When I look at the way the world is going right now, I feel sad. I mean, sometimes it makes me angry because I see so much arrogance, and that arrogant bullying attitude that used to be hidden on the internet is now infiltrated our world. And there's just something about that attitude that really gets my goat. And being honest again, I have to be careful because my temper can really flare with that kind of thing. And I could go at it with somebody. If I see somebody threatening me, or even if I went out to vote and saw somebody, threatening someone else at the polls that I didn't even know, I'd have to be careful because my first reaction would be to jump right in there tooth and nail and, man, just be ready. But that's not who I am in my heart, and that's not who I want to be. So I have to be really careful, as all of us do. But aside from all of that, it makes me very sad to see the direction the world is going in, and how people are treating one another, and the level of deception that is out there from politics and religion, and it's heartbreaking. And that's my biggest mission, to be here right now, just to say, hey, listen, folks, be careful who you follow, because I think the pump is being really primed for something big that's coming down the line. I don't know how far, I don't know how soon. It might be sooner or later at the rate we're going. And you don't want to be one of these people following after the false prophets. Oh, Donald Trump, isn't he so wonderful? Oh, he's our King David. Oh, he's the Trump of God, and all this crazy stuff people have come up with. You don't want to be a part of that. That when the Antichrist steps on the scene, oh, look at John Doe. He's so wonderful. He's so humble. He's doing miracles like Jesus. Oh, this is the Messiah. You don't want to follow people down that road. Have eyes to see and ears to hear. Okay? That's the only thing I'm telling you. Don't be part of that possible 80 to 82% of people that get deceived, and it all becomes for naught because you were so deceived by men and their pseudo spiritual, politics. You don't want that to happen to you. You don't want to be one of the people that had said to, depart from me. I never knew you. Who are you? Have a real heart for God and really listen to what's being said. Because, I'm not setting myself up as some, wonderful prophet, but I feel really not good when I hear a lot of these political prophecies coming out of the religious corners of the world. It's the same feeling I got in many churches years ago where I shook my head and said, I don't feel God here. I'm sorry. Am I wrong? I don't know. I used to think that, but it turned out I was right. And I got that same feeling. I'm sitting here going, I don't know, man. I don't feel God in that. I don't think he's there. I think this is coming from their heart, their mind, their agenda, their bias. And that's not what you want to follow. In closing, if I could give you my prediction, if you want to call it that, for this country, for this election, I lean more toward Donald Trump winning. And if he does over the next 4 years, I think we will be decimated. And we will vote for the devil himself to get us out of the mess that we're in. That's what I think. If by some slim chance Biden gets in, it'll be a little bit better on the surface, but I think we'll start going down that Democratic slope again where it's all about racing toward the New World Order. And things are going to get really strange, and we're probably going to be decimated in a different way. So hold on to your hats, folks. Be careful who you follow. Follow God. Walk in faith and love. That is the safest road you can walk. I'm Paul James Caden. I thank you for listening. I hope you got something out of this today, and I hope you understand what it is I'm saying and that I'm not making some political stink or anything of that nature at all. But I appreciate you listening. Stay safe, stay well, and walk in faith and love. It's important now more than ever. I'll talk to you next time here on The Infinite Journey.